All right, today we're jumping into one of the biggest pains in crypto, trying to move your assets from one blockchain to another. You know the drill. It's usually slow, super risky, and can be pretty expensive. But there's a protocol on the Tron blockchain, STON.fi, that's rolling out a really slick solution called Omniston, and it's designed to change the whole game. So let's get into it and see how they're actually pulling this off. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at why blockchains are so disconnected in the first place, what's called the walled garden problem. Then, we'll dive into Omniston's totally different approach, check out the tech that makes it all work, see a real-world example with tokenized stocks, and wrap up by looking at what this all means for the future. Okay, so before we can really get why the solution is so cool, we first have to talk about the problem. And the problem is that right now most blockchains are basically their own little islands. They don't talk to each other very well, and that makes moving value between them a huge, inefficient headache.
I mean, if you've ever tried to get your funds from, say, Ethereum over to Tron, you know it's anything but a simple swap. This is a massive issue in DeFi, known as fragmented liquidity. All the value is just spread thin, scattered across thousands of different pools, on hundreds of separate exchanges. It makes getting a fair price, or sometimes even just making the trade happen, almost impossible.
You know, we all have this expectation that you should just be able to click swap and boom, it's done. But the reality? Well, it's more like a minefield. You're dealing with these sketchy third-party bridges, confusing things like wrapped tokens, and all sorts of nasty surprises like insane fees and slippage. You want to be in control of your own money, but you end up having to trust some random middleman that could, and often does, get hacked.
So, how do we actually fix this mess? Well, STON.fi's answer is their Omniston protocol, and it's built from the ground up on this really powerful idea called zero trust. The whole point is to connect all those blockchain islands without using the leaky, vulnerable boats we've all been stuck with until now. And if you look at their white paper, their mission is incredibly clear. This isn't just about making swaps a little easier. Nope. It's about completely re-architecting how value moves across the entire crypto world to make it safer, cheaper, and way more reliable for every single one of us.
And this right here, this is the key difference. Traditional bridges are custodial. That means you literally send your tokens to them, they lock them up, and then they issue you an IOU or a wrapped token on the other chain. This makes that bridge a giant, juicy target for hackers. Omniston, on the other hand, uses something called atomic swaps. Your assets never leave your wallet until the deal is done. The trade either completes perfectly for both people, or it fails safely and everyone gets their original funds back. It's all or nothing. No middleman, no risk.
So how in the world does this all-or-nothing guarantee actually work? Well, it's not exactly magic, but it is some seriously clever code that lets two people swap directly with each other, completely cutting out that risky middleman.
The engine that powers this whole thing is a special kind of smart contract called a hashed time lock contract, or an HTLC. The easiest way to think about it is like a digital escrow service that's run completely by code, not by a person. It uses two main things: a secret code, that's the hash lock, and a countdown timer, the time lock, to make sure nobody can possibly cheat the system.
Now, this locked briefcase analogy is honestly the best way to understand this. It makes it all just click. Imagine Alice and Bob want to trade. First, Alice creates a secret code. She puts her assets into a digital briefcase, locks it with that code, and puts a 48-hour timer on it. Bob sees her locked briefcase, so he does the exact same thing with his assets. He uses the same secret code, but he sets a shorter timer, say 24 hours. Now, since Alice knows the code, she can open Bob's briefcase. But here's the genius part. The act of her opening it automatically reveals the secret code to Bob. So now Bob can use that code to open her briefcase. And if anyone gets cold feet or a timer runs out, both briefcases just automatically snap back to their original owners. It's brilliant. No trust is ever needed.
And this trustless technology isn't just for swapping one crypto for another. It's actually unlocking a much bigger opportunity, bridging the massive gap between the world of crypto and traditional finance, using something called XStocks.
So what are XStocks? Well, they're exactly what they sound like. They are tokenized versions of real-world stocks and ETFs. So you can have AAPLX for Apple stock or SPYX for an S&P 500 ETF living right there in your Tron wallet as a normal crypto token. And these aren't synthetic IOUs. They are fully backed one-to-one by the real securities held in regulated custody. And the best part? You can trade them 24/7 on STON.fi, even when Wall Street is asleep.
And this is where things get really powerful for anyone trying to build a serious crypto portfolio. For years, the biggest knock on crypto has been the lack of real diversification. You know the saying, when Bitcoin sneezes, the entire market catches a cold. Well, by bringing real-world assets like a broad market ETF directly on-chain, you can finally add a bucket to your portfolio that doesn't just move in lockstep with crypto hype. It's a way to build a much more resilient, all-weather portfolio, all from your own wallet.
And you know what the best part is? It's ridiculously simple. You don't need to open a brokerage account or fill out a bunch of paperwork. You just go to STON.fi, connect your wallet, pick a stock just like you'd pick any other token, and hit swap. That's it. You can get exposure to traditional markets in literally minutes, and you never give up control of your assets.
So you take all of this, the zero trust swaps, the real-world assets, and you can start to see the much bigger picture they're building. This is all about creating a truly interconnected financial ecosystem, one that's built to last and is governed by its own users.
Okay, so a key part of making any project last is having smart economics. Let's just follow the flow here. Every time a swap happens, the protocol takes a tiny fee. Now those fees, which might be in all sorts of different tokens, are automatically swapped into the native STON token. From there, they're sent to a special contract that's controlled by the community, by the DAO, and the community gets to vote on what to do with that value, maybe fund new development, reward users, or even burn some of the tokens to reduce the supply. It creates this awesome, self-sustaining loop that's designed to keep fueling growth.
And when you look at how the tokens were originally distributed, you can see this community focus was baked in from day one. A full 50%, you add up the DAO treasury, marketing, incentives, and operations, is all set aside for initiatives that are governed by the community. And this community-first strategy is clearly working. It's helped STON.fi capture over 80% of all the trading volume on the Tron network, making it the undisputed leader in the ecosystem.
And believe me, they're not just stopping at Tron. The ambition here is huge. The roadmap shows they're rapidly expanding to connect with all the biggest players in crypto. We're talking Tron, Ethereum, BNB, Polygon. Soon, you'll be able to swap assets from pretty much any major chain directly. And with the DAO up and running and a native app inside Telegram on the way, they're building a future where powerful cross-chain finance isn't just easy. It's actually owned and directed by the people who use it.
And really, that's the question this all leaves us with. What does the world of finance actually look like when the walls between blockchains and even the walls between crypto and traditional markets just completely disappear? Imagine a world where any asset anywhere on the planet is just one simple, secure swap away. That's the future we're heading towards.